Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with another STAMPtember exclusive. This is the much anticipated GinaK Designs Sparkling Season Stamp Set. Like all of the limited edition exclusive collaboration sets, these are one and done. When they sell out, they're gone for good. Last year GinaK's set sold out unbelievably quickly. I know they stocked up last year. This year they stocked up massively. So we'll see. I ain't taking any bets though. And GinaK always has tons of fabulous sets. Gina is amazing. For those that aren't aware, I was on Gina's design team when she started her company a lifetime ago. I forget how long ago that was. Wonderful person. So this is the Sparkling Season Stamp Set. And I'm using the Christmas Magic pattern paper from Tonic. Those that do follow my Facebook page might remember me posting about this. And I was like, yes, I must order. It's like they know me. Gold, black, and white. Hello. I have an entire playlist of gold, black, and white cards, which I'll link to at the end of this video. So as I was looking at this set, I was like, the ideas are going all over the place. But I was like, ooh, gold, black, and white Christmas cards. So that's what I did. And then I'm using this pattern paper and I was like, you get multiples of each pattern. It's a 6x6 pack. So I was like, if I cut the pieces in half, I could do mini slimline cards and I could do several. And my original plan, I was like, I can do like 2. And then I was like, well, I can do 4. And then I did 8. And again, if I had had time, I could use the entire pack. You could, doing this specific card design, you could do 48. I didn't have time for that. But anyway, all I did was stamp this ornament cluster. This would also work with just snowflake stamps. Just giving ideas here because this set will sell out. So if you're watching it after it's sold out, just ideas. Stamp snowflakes in black and heat emboss them in the same way. It would look beautiful. Beautiful. So I'm stamping them with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I use my anti-static powder tool on the pattern paper. And then I'm heat embossing them with black sparkle embossing powder. I do not like black embossing powder. I've said this before. I said it the last time I used black sparkle embossing powder, which was a Halloween video. Black embossing powder and me do not get along. Just bad memories, bad vibes. But black sparkle embossing powder is fabulous. It's also different when you're working on a pattern paper. There's a smoothness to pattern paper that's not the same with cardstock. Even when cardstock is smooth, it's not as smooth as pattern paper. So embossing powder just glides on it, if that makes sense. You use your anti-static powder tool, you do your stamping, pour on your embossing powder, and it sticks to the stamp image, and that's it. Like it is satisfying in a really weird way. So anyway, I heat embossed all of these with that. Also because it makes it stand out, because these patterns are fairly busy. So I've got this black sparkle. And like I said, I was originally going to do like 4. I was going to do like the lighter colors because some of these patterns are very dark. And then 1, because I assumed I'd be asked, but also I was curious myself. I was like, I wonder what gold embossing powder would look like on the darker patterns. So I have some gold. This is also a glittery embossing powder. It's very pretty. Tried it. I don't like it. It looks okay-ish in the video here, but that's because my lights are really like reflecting off the embossing powder. But when the lights aren't reflecting directly on it, it really doesn't stand out. So it's more like how it looks where I'm holding it right there, where it's kind of shaded. That's how it looks. Like you just don't really see it. So I was like, no. But then I'm like, well, I might as well test it, see how the black glitter emboss powder looks on the darker papers. And I was like, you know what, this works. So that's how it turned into 8 cards. Because I was like, I already have the pieces cut, why not? So I did all of that stamping and heat embossing, set all those panels aside. And then this set happened to have 2 sentiments that are very similar in size. One says Happy Holidays, one says Merry Christmas. And I was like, perfect. I can get 2 impressions at once. Saves me time. So I'm using, this is some Concord in 9th Stardust cardstock. It's kind of a gold tone, which is kind of perfect. So I lined up my stamps and used my anti-static powder tool. This time I'm inking up these sentiments with just a white pigment ink. It helps me to actually, because when I'm doing multiples, it helps me to see that, okay, I am getting the whole thing stamped. But doing it like this, and I do 2 pieces, it gives me a few extras, which actually did 100% come in handy. Because when I was trimming, I wasn't paying enough attention, and I managed to like cut off part of the sentiments a couple times. I make mistakes too. In fact, I do all the time. It's only the miracle of video editing that you guys don't see a lot of them. I try and show them when I can, but a lot of times it's off camera or just the chaos. The chaos. If I could even list all the chaos going on trying to do the voiceover. Anyway. Melted it with, coated the sentiments with white embossing powder. Melted that with my heat tool. Then I used my paper trimmer to trim these down, and I trimmed, a little angled edge on them. I'm showing here how I, would use the other piece to even say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But that's a way to, I don't do any fancy measurements when it comes to that. Like I was just eyeballing the whole thing. So the sentiments are done. The main panels, I cut down to, I think 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, something like that, inches, because I also cut down black cardstock to 3 by 6 inches so that I could mat them with that. And it also just gives it a little extra something because pattern paper's fairly thin. So I adhered that to the black cardstock. I fiddled with my sentiment, and while I was fiddling with the sentiment, I was like, started thinking again. I was like, what else can I add to this? More is more. So I pulled out a Copic marker. Now, I have said this and I still stand by it. Copic markers and heat embossed images do not play nice together. I know a lot of people have done it for years, never had a problem. There's something in embossing powder after it's been melted that Copic markers can almost seems to eat it. And it's fine for the stamped image, you don't notice it, but apparently it can start to degrade the tips of your markers over time if you do it a lot. I don't. I almost never do it. With something like this, I have no problem using a Copic marker. I'm kind of trying to avoid the heat embossing for the most part. Plus, I'm not doing a bunch of blending where where you're going over those edges a lot. This is just a quick a little zhuzh. So I just used a Y28 Copic marker and just filled in those little areas. Even on the darker ones, it's subtle, but it's there. So that was my first thought. But you could skip this completely. It looks nicest, of course, on the lighter colors. You can really see it. But then my next idea, I was like, oh yeah, duh. I have the Nouveau Aqua Shimmer Midas Touch brush pen that has the beautiful gold shimmer that I've shown in a bajillion videos. Perfect. So I'm still glad I did the Copic coloring because it still gives a little something underneath it. But instead, I went over with that so it adds even extra, a little bit of color, a little bit of gold. Fabulous. I'll show at the end with my flashlight. I guess more is more. So I painted all of those little areas, basically just like the little ornament topper, and then a couple of those little center areas with this, just to give it that little extra something. And I literally almost redid the same one because I was like, did I do this? Yeah. Anyway, got all that painted. Then my card bases are just heavyweight white cardstock. All of these were cut to 6 1/4 by 6 1/2 and then scored at 3 1/4. So these will be 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch mini slimline cards. And I do all of this at once, just like everything else. When I'm doing multiples or mass producing, you do all the steps at once. So I did all that, stamping and heat embossing at once, stamped and heat embossed the sentiments at once, trimmed everything down at the same time. Cut all my card bases at the same time. If you do everything in steps like that, it just makes the process way more seamless. And I used to back in the day, I used to make wedding invitations for friends and family and stuff, and hundreds of cards. This is the method I would do. So once I had my card bases, I would line the card bases up in my MISTI, stamping a sentiment from the set with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, stamped all those card bases with that sentiment. And then to not leave it at just the sentiment, I took all the little sparkly snowflake images from the set, lined those up onto the inside of the card. And then these I inked up with that little Concord 9th Stardust, the coordinating color of ink cube. So inked those up and then did all my card bases. This, of course, is all super sped up in editing, so it looks like I'm flinging card bases around. I technically kind of am, but within reason. So to just stamp, remove card base, go on to next one. You know, stamp, remove card base, go on to next one. I'm like a little robot with these cards. So after I get everything stamped, I then can adhere all of those card fronts to the card bases. And I just use my craft tacky glue and then I stick it under my MISTI just to hold it, you know, just something to hold it in place while it dries and frees up my hands to go on to the next one. So I just keep stacking them underneath my MISTI. It's great. So again, do all the adhering all at once. So once I have all of the backgrounds adhered to the card bases, the sentiments you could just adhere as is, that'd be fine. But I thought I would just give it a little, again, a little more is more. So I backed all of these with Simon's Big Mama foam tape, because this was a simple step. If the sentiments had been a lot narrower, I probably wouldn't have bothered, because, you know, if I had to fiddle and trim and yada, 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 but this was like stick it on, cut, stick it on, cut, stick it on, cut, you know? So I backed all the sentiments with that Big Mama foam tape. Once those are all in place, I can then just peel off the backing and then pop those into place on each of these cards. And again, like a broken record, you could be done here, but I am going to add bling. Never enough. There's never enough, especially when it comes to Christmas cards. So I have some Trinity Stamps Gold Eclipse rhinestones, and anytime with bling and multiple cards, if they're a similar style like this, I do one card with all the bling, figure out where I want it, and then I just repeat over and over again, you know, the shapes, the sizes, whatever, and it just goes. It's simple, quick, easy. So I'd done it on the first one, and then it was just a matter of repeating that process to get all the bling adhered. And I would just lay it out, pick it up with my little embellishment wand, put down a dab of the craft tacky glue, and done. These were a lot of fun to make. And then I, of course, also paired them with some black mini Slimline envelopes. So like I said, I'm going to turn my flashlight on. My camera, of course, has a hard time focusing. My photos probably aren't the greatest. I struggle some days, and this was one of them. But you can see the sparkle, especially when my camera doesn't focus. It actually shows the sparkle better. So I've got the sparkly ornaments, and then there's the gold sparkly of the detail, and then the bling, and of course the pattern paper and all the fun stuff going on. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this stamp set is limited edition. I don't know. Anyone want to place bets? Put your thoughts in the comments down below. How fast do you think this set might sell out? I will have links to it, and there will always be options. Like I said, you could do this with snowflakes, just straight up snowflake stamps or other ornament stamps. There's so many options out there. But I will have links to everything in the description box below the video, as well as a link to my blog post, so you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching, for thumbs upping, for commenting. Subscribe if you haven't. I would really appreciate it. And stay tuned, because I still have a ton of videos coming at you guys this month and always. And I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.